Hello, folks. Dustin Zarni here, Democratic Elections Commissioner for Onondaga County. Welcome to Commissioner in a Car, and today is Onondaga County, land of the large hand counts. Today, Onondaga County finished our canvass of absentees and affidavits. We did most of this yesterday. There was about a little bit less than 200 affidavits that we needed to do manual canvassing of, and that took us most of the day. We also canvassed all the write-ins, and I'll go over that a little bit. But the bottom line is what has happened is that we have identified 4 races, and two of them are a surprise, actually. 4 races that are going to be hand counted after Thanksgiving. And those 4 races are Camillus, Ward Council 3, and then it's also the 2 surprises are Spafford Town Council, where, well, Camillus Ward Council 3 only has 7 votes separating the winner and the loser there. Spafford Town Council, where there's 19 votes separating the second and third place person, and that would be determining, because it's a vote for 2, that would be determinative of whether that race is done. There's 19 votes separating them. And then Solvay Village Ward 1 trustee, there's 12 votes separating the winner and the loser there. All 3 of those races are hand counts because they're under the 20 vote minimum. So if it's under 20 votes separating the person going into office and the person not going into office, then it's an automatic hand count. But the big race, the one that we've been dreading, but kind of knowing that since election night that this was probably going to be the case, Onondaga County Clerk, which is, of course, every ballot in Onondaga County will be hand counted. There are 301 votes separating Emily Essie, the Democrat, and Lisa Dell, the Republican incumbent. And Emily Essie's in the lead. She needed to get about 453 to avoid a hand count. She had 83 on election night, so she did gain in the post-election process, but not enough to get out of the hand count, and we will proceed to a hand count there. That means that, those other 3 races, along with Onondaga County Clerk, but it doesn't really matter about the other 3 races in the sense of we're still going to hand count every ballot. It's about very close to 90,800 ballots that were cast in this election. So it's going to be quite a task, but it's something we've done before in Onondaga County. We did it last year. In fact, we kind of set the standard for these large hand counts. We did the Senate District 50 race, and a lot of the materials we developed and tally sheets we developed has been used by the state board to promulgate to all the counties for their hand counts of this year, our tally sheets and the way we did it. And we learned a lot of lessons, how to do it better, and I think we're going to put those lessons into place. But that's where we're at. Now, before I go into what's happening in the future, I want to explain why it took an extra day for us to get to where we were. We did our scanning on Wednesday. That's when the first day to be able to start scanning happened after the election. And, we stayed till about 7 o'clock that night. But as we got done with the scanning, our system identified about 200 affidavit ballots that they said that we needed to manually review. And of course, already being there at 7 o'clock that night, getting all the scanning done, there was no way we could do that. So we uploaded our results where we were. And then today, we manually looked at all of those affidavit ballots to make sure that the proper votes were cast. Because, when it goes through the scanner, sometimes there's a tear where the timing mark is off. Sometimes the inspectors handed out the wrong kind of ballot. Instead of an affidavit ballot, they handed out a machine ballot. And though it's on its face the same ballot, we still had to do some adjusting in our system to properly account for it. And then also, you know, sometimes people showed up at the wrong polling place and got the wrong ballot for where they live. But the new law says that we have to count the votes that are able to be counted. So that took a little time as well. So, and then also today we looked at the write-ins for all the races that that we think were close contests. We had about 6 races that we, you know, or 6 or 7 races that we were looking at as possibilities for that. 3 other races besides the ones that are going to the hand count: Geddes Town Councilor and Onondaga County Village District 10 and Skinny Atlas Justice. Those 3 races did not have, you know, a close enough race to go to the hand count. So those races will be certified. And in all 3 of those cases, the Republicans will be the victor of that close contest. And I'll have more to say about that, you know, and some of the controversies that have really played a factor in these close races later on, after we certify, sometime in December. So we had to go through the write-in, so for these close races, to make sure that nobody wrote in the name of a candidate that appeared above in the candidate contest, because this year another new law change that allowed those ballots to count for the candidate, since it's obvious the voter intent is to cast a vote for that candidate, but just because they wrote it in the write-in box. It used to be if you wrote it in the write-in box but they appeared above, it didn't count. So that law was changed. So that took a little bit of time as well. We went through all the family court, we went through all the Supreme Courts. You know, we still have to go through that. By the way, vote totals are going to change on other races because we haven't done all of that throughout the entire county. We just focused on the races that were close, and that means that we're not certified yet for this election. In fact, we don't certify till December 1st. So we have time to actually certify the election. It's 25 days after the election, which happened on November 7th. So so we're going to have to work at 2 different tasks here in the next couple of in the next week or so. The first task is actually certifying the election. So we'll have people on that, usually our hardworking directors who really make things happen. Shout out to Julie Cook and Candace Clemens. They are the backbone of this kind of work at the Board of Elections, the detail work that gets it all done. So they're going to be working on that. But then we're going to have, starting tomorrow, up to a dozen people, maybe even more, that are going to start working on sorting ballots to get ready for the hand count. So what kind of work is that? It's a lot of work. First, there's 90,000 ballots to sort. And you may say, oh, well, we know where they are, right? We know where they cast their votes. But the problem is that we have to sort them by election district to be able to properly hand count them. And you may know when you go to an early voting center or an election day center, there's only 1 or 2 machines in the center, but there may be 3, 4, 5 election districts in there. Well, the ballots that go into there are sealed in a bag at the end of the night and then stored. So now we have to go through those bags. We have to break the seals. We have to record that we broke the seals. We have to do it in a bipartisan manner. And then we use the reports that came out of those machines that let us know how many ballots for each election district are in, that has been recorded on the machine. And then we try to sort them. And we have 442 election districts in Onondaga County. And we have to sort three different streams of, actually 4 different streams of ballots. You have your absentees, your affidavits, your early voting, and your election day voting. So each election district has to have each of those 4 different streams properly sorted and recorded and put in folders and be ready for bipartisan teams to do the hand count. So that's why we're not starting it till the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. I think it's November 28th. And, the reason we're not starting on Monday is because we need time to organize the office. We believe we can get these ballots sorted by Wednesday before Thanksgiving. If for any reason we're not, we'll tell the candidates that we're not going to start until later. But that is our goal. And we will have 10 teams of bipartisan eyes opening up ballots, or not opening up, I'm sorry, counting ballots for this hand count. And those ballots will be, hand tallied, and we'll be looking for things that the machine didn't catch. I really believe we're going to find out that these new machines, and even the old machines, really did not lose many ballots, if at all. There's sometimes people make very light marks, but our scanners, our new scanners, are really good at picking that up. Our old scanners were also really good at picking it up, and we saw that in last year's hand count. What's going to make the changes is if people wrote on the ballot. That's the number one change, because if you write something on the ballot that is not in the write-in box, that is a political message, it can throw out the entire ballot. So, but then there's other things where, like, somebody put an X, but the scanner didn't pick it up. That's one. There's a lot. So we know what the scanners, said came out of that district. Now we have to, match it with the hand count. And if it doesn't match, we have to explain why. We will then total that. And since it's well past certification by the time we get done with this, we will break certification and recertify that race, especially the county clerk race. Now, those small races, they may get done in the first day. They will get done in the first day of the hand count on the 28th, so we may be able to just certify those on December 1st, and they'll be done. But the county clerk race will probably take until the middle of December. I think it took us 9 days last time. Now, there's not any hint of lawyering that happened last time, where you had lawyers from both sides and teams of people coming in from Albany, and because it was a 10-vote margin and happening in 2 different counties, and there was a lot of changes between election night and the time of the hand count. So, and court supervision. So that was kind of a big, a lot of extra work that we had to go through to do that. So that went till December 21st, I think it was. It was very late, but we are headed towards this hand count. Now, I think we'll, I keep saying December 15th is our outside margin, maybe December 8th, who knows? It depends on how much work we can get done, how the observers behave, because they can object to hand-counted ballots. Unlike absentees, where they can only observe, there is interactions with the hand-count ballot to get to the true source and the true winner. And let me just say, this is a big effort that we're going to be putting in. And I think it's worth it, in theory. And definitely those other 3 races that we're going to hand count, that's definitely worth it. The hand count was put in place by Governor Cuomo through the budget process, and it mimics the law from New York City exactly, because New York City's had this hand count in place for 20 years, and there was a lot of people who said, well, we should have this up everywhere in New York State instead of just in New York City. And I agreed with that. I agreed with that principle, that something needed to happen. There were so many races that were so close in the previous years, and we didn't hand count the ballots, and people, you know, it led to some of the election denialism that's out there. Not the crazy stuff that came out in 2020, but I remember a Skinny Atlas Senate or Skinny Atlas supervisor race 8 years ago that Democrats lost by 30 or something like that, and they wanted a hand count, but there was no mechanism to do so. And then there was a lot of discord over that. You know, I still believe the right winner was put in place, but having this hand count allows us to prove that. It allows us to prove that the machines are accurate. Now, you wouldn't want to do hand counts for every race. That's crazy. You know, we know that Marty Masterpole won the county comptroller race with the highest vote total in the county. By the way, higher than Ryan McMahon. But we don't have to hand count that race. But we are hand counting the close races to make sure that the right person is being put into office, that the voter's intent is taken into place. That's another thing that happens with a hand count is voter intent matters. So sometimes people will circle the oval, and since there's no mark going through the oval, the scanner won't catch it. The hand count will catch something like that. So it's very important. I do think for large amounts of ballots, having the 0.5% is too high. So like Emily Essie for county clerk, she would have had to get a vote lead of 453 out of the 90,700 ballots cast. She got 301. Do I believe that 301 ballots are going to change? No. I've offered, and the association has backed a bill that would move that 0.5% down to 0.25% and then allow us to do an alternative scan like we do with the audits of ballots that are, rerun through the scan, all the ballots, just to double check that nothing crazy happened. And I think that's the right way to go. 0.25% for hand counting, between 0.25 and 0.5%, a secondary scan, and that would eliminate a lot of the large hand counts that we've seen that have been little fruitless. Now, last year's hand count, that would have been a hand count no matter what. That's the way it should be. But this county clerk one, the law is the law. We're going to do the law, and at the end of the day, we're going to certify the winner with the most votes. But it is something that the legislature needs to address, because this is a lot of work, a lot of extra time, and not any real fear that this race is going to switch. That being said, the possibility is there, and we're gonna count the votes and see what comes out. So that's it for my commissioner in the car update. I will do a commissioner in the car update right before Thanksgiving, kind of giving you an update of if any ballots come in. We have 29 or so what we call cures out there. Again, not enough to move any of the races unless they happen to be in the Spafford town council race. That one's very close to that 20 vote margin. There would have to be 2 votes for the Republican to get out of that. It's possible. And any of the ones that didn't make it, they're not very close to their margin. So there's really not anything those 29 cures are going to do, but it will change the vote total leads if they come in by the 24th. So I will do an update then and let you know whether that's going to happen or not, and whether that is something that is is something that we will see. So really it's the Monday of when the hand count starts. It'll be the last day for cures to come in. That being said, we are getting ready. We're going to be ready for this hand count. We're going to work really hard at it. The staff is tired, overworked, and understaffed as always, but we're going to get it done. And because we're Onondaga County, and we've done this before, and we're going to do it again. And hopefully we're going to do it even a little faster and a little bit more accurate. and we're going to finally put the 2023 election to bed. I don't really have any content planned while we're doing this. My weekly wonks are on hiatus right now. I may do something this weekend if I get a chance. They're going to be a little different for the next couple of months. They're not going to be about political subdivisions because, you know, we're going to wait till next year on that. But what they're going to be is more opinion pieces regarding some of the electoral things coming up for the 2024 presidential election. I plan on doing something about the primary system and the electoral college. We'll do a couple of weekly wonks on early voting, absentee voting, and election day voting, and of course overall turnout for the 2023 election. That will probably happen after we certify, so those will happen in December. And then starting in January, I'll start doing some of the more political subdivisions and probably redistricting as well, as we're waiting for the verdict on the redistricting lawsuit. So that's my plan for the weekly wonks. And sometime in December, I'll start back up with the Zoom with Zarnies and start talking to some of our friends who are advocates about the upcoming presidential election and all of that. So that's all I really got to say. Thank you so much for following along with me this year. It's been an interesting year, a lot of changes, and we're going to continue to try to serve you, the voters of Onondaga County, as well as we can. And I'm going to continue to advocate for a better democracy as much as I can. So some of the things that didn't go well, we're going to learn from. Thank you again, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.